All right, let's get right into it. We've all seen them, right? These massive construction projects, cranes all over the skyline. But what you don't see is the constant, day in, day out battle against pure chaos. And it's a struggle that, way too often, ends with blown deadlines and budgets that are just completely shattered. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see why that happens.
I mean, you have to have wondered about it. It feels like it happens every single time. A city announces a new bridge or a shiny new skyscraper with a nice, neat budget and a timeline, and then, like clockwork, you start hearing the news reports about delays and soaring costs. It's almost like it's the rule, not the exception.
And you know what? It's not just a feeling. The data is kind of shocking. A huge study of projects funded by the World Bank, it found that a whopping 63% of them went over budget. Just think about that for a second. That means the majority of these massive, important projects are failing at their most basic financial goals. So what is going on here?
Well, the thing is, it's almost never just one single mistake. The real culprit is the mind-boggling complexity of it all. It's about trying to juggle thousands of moving parts, people, materials, giant machines, and money, all at once, and all of it under crushing deadlines. It's like a giant high-stakes puzzle that's constantly changing.
So how in the world do you even begin to fight that kind of chaos? Well, luckily, the industry has a whole discipline for it. It's called Project Resource Management, or PRM for short. And you can think of it as the official playbook for bringing some order to all that madness.
So here's the key thing to get about PRM. It's not just about having the resources, it's about having the right resources in the right place at the exact right time. You know, it's the difference between a truck full of steel beams showing up right when you need it versus it arriving a week before the foundation is even poured, just sitting there. PRM is the brain that makes sure every piece of the puzzle clicks into place when it's supposed to.
And when we say resources in construction, we're really talking about these 5 big pillars. You've got the classic 4 M's, manpower, that's your crew, materials, the stuff you build with, machinery, the heavy equipment, and of course, money. But there's a 5th one that rules over all of them: time. If you mess up the management of just one of these, the whole project can start to fall apart.
Okay, so digging a little deeper into PRM, there's this really powerful technique for wrangling 2 of the most unpredictable resources, your people and your equipment. It's called resource leveling, and it is all about creating a smooth, stable workflow. The best way to think about it is like traffic control on a busy highway. See, if you let everyone try to get on the freeway at the exact same time, you get a total standstill, right? A massive traffic jam. Resource leveling is kind of like the traffic controller that staggers the flow. It smooths out the demand so you don't have these crazy days where you need 50 welders followed by days where you only need 5. It just prevents those bottlenecks and keeps everything moving smoothly. And this visual just shows you the goal perfectly. Over on the left, that's what an unmanaged plan looks like. It's all these jagged peaks and deep valleys, super inefficient, totally unpredictable, and really expensive. But on the right, that's the dream. Resource leveling turns that chaos into a smooth, predictable, and way more cost-effective flow of work. But here's where it gets interesting. You have a choice to make. You've basically got 2 main strategies. With resource leveling, you're saying your resources are the most important thing. You won't overwork your people or your cranes, even if that means you have to push back the project's end date. But with resource smoothing, the deadline is everything. It cannot move. So you have to juggle your resources within whatever little wiggle room you have in the schedule. It really all boils down to one question. What's more important, your resources or your deadline?
Okay, so we've figured out how to manage the resources we already have on site. But how did they get there in the first place? That brings us to another huge piece of this puzzle: the art of procurement.
Now, procurement is so much more than just buying stuff. It's this whole strategic process from start to finish. It's everything from figuring out what you need to picking suppliers, hammering out contracts, and managing all the deliveries. Get this part wrong, and you could have a multi-million-dollar crane just sitting idle for weeks, waiting for the right parts to arrive, all while the budget clock is just ticking away. And look at this. It's not just a single step. It is a whole journey. It shows you just how careful and methodical this has to be. You start by identifying a need. Then you define exactly what you need. You select who might be able to provide it. You manage a bidding process. You evaluate all the offers, and only then do you get to the statement of work and the final contract. All this planning is what stops those huge, costly mistakes from happening later.
So as you can imagine, managing all of this, the resource leveling, the procurement, it involves an incredible amount of information.
And for decades, the industry has basically been trying to wrestle this monster with tools that are, well, let's just say they're not exactly built for the job.
This quote really says it all, doesn't it? When your tools can't keep up, what are you left with? Even the best, most experienced pros are forced to fall back on guesswork and gut feelings. And when you're talking about a billion-dollar project, intuition is just a recipe for disaster.
And honestly, this is the reality on way too many construction sites today. You've got project managers trying to coordinate everything using these massive, clunky spreadsheets and chaotic WhatsApp group chats. It's like trying to conduct a symphony orchestra with a broken stick. The information's all over the place, it's probably out of date, and it's just impossible to keep track of anything.
So the solution here is pretty obvious. If you want to manage the complexity of a modern construction project, the way you work has to change. The entire workflow needs to catch up. It has to go digital.
And that big leap from the old manual way to a new digital future is exactly where our sponsor for this explainer fits into the story, because they're focused on solving this very problem.
Look, if you're just tired of trying to run a complex, high-stakes operation with tools that were never meant for it, it is definitely time for a change. You don't have to chase down information in 10 different places anymore.
This is what Lementai does. It gives you a single, all-in-one platform to manage all those moving parts we've been talking about, from your people and equipment all the way through procurement and what's happening on site. It's built to bring clarity and control to all that chaos.
And if you want to see for yourself how it can change things, you can actually start transforming your workflow right now. Just head over to Lementai.com and you can get started for free.
And we want to give a big thanks to Lementai for supporting this deep dive into what makes construction so challenging.
So let's just end on this thought. We started with the fact that nearly 2/3 of projects fail to meet their budget. If that's what's considered normal, then what does it actually mean to succeed? In this digital age, maybe real success isn't just about finishing the building anymore. Maybe it's about mastering the flow of information that makes building it possible in the first place. What do you think?